2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. Hey, happy pre-Friday celebration. Greatest day of the entire week. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. You are ready to carpe diem all over this place, and it's wonderful to have you with us as usual here on the program. There is plenty to get to. My brain hurts with how crazy the world has been lately, but we like to poke fun of it here on this program because if you take all this politics too seriously, you might just pull out your hair. Which is why the sides of my head are shaved, and I try to preserve what I can on the top of my head as much as possible. It's not because I like the style of the mohawk. It's because that's where I pulled out all the hair from the sides, trying to deal with all the stupid in the world. Is that about right? We're going to go with that one. Welcome into the show. Hey, it's great to have you along for the ride today, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the country with so many great radio affiliates. We have a new one jumping on board on Monday. Cannot wait to announce that one as we continue to do what?
Do it live!
Do it live every single day here on the program, and it's wonderful for you to join us. All right, John Venicioni, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. I am super looking forward to chatting with him coming up at the bottom of the hour. He is a senior litigation counsel for the New Civil Liberties Alliance. We are going to talk free speech. We're going to talk government working with social media companies and the censorship, the shadow banning, and the freedom of speech or lack thereof we've had with online content really for a while, but especially since the COVID-19 pandemic, even though we're not allowed to talk about that, right?
Say what?
Because that's where a lot of people, including myself, got shadow banned and bumped from social media for the longest time. We're finally starting to get things back on track now after all these years, but because we mentioned things that they did not like during COVID, then a lot of our social media was not up to par and where it was supposed to be. So we'll talk with John about that coming up at the bottom of the hour. Before we do that,
what's trending today?
I told you, it's a crazy world. Now you can either laugh at it or you can pull your hair out because it's so ridiculous. I was not aware of, we talk about identity politics quite a bit on the show. We poke fun at it because of how stupid it is in such a superficial, dumb level it is to have an issue of identity politics. Your skin color is different. Oh, okay. Thanks for noticing. I don't really care. What does that have to do with what I do in society? But the progressives really, 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 really like their identity politics. In fact, to the point, we should just admit that the entire alphabet should be included into the letters or numbers, because there are numbers included into it apparently now, of the really long list of those that are oppressed in society in some fashion. Have you heard the quote or the statement from the Canadian lawmaker angry about their budget proposal in Canada, where they're cutting, I don't know, $7 billion or something out of DEI initiatives in the country of Canada, and they're not happy about it, in zero funding for something in particular?
When the budget was released, I was shocked to find out that Prime Minister Carney is cutting $7 billion between Indigenous Services Canada and Crown Indigenous Relations. They provided $0 to deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2S LGBTQIA+. This is abhorrent.
What?
This is callous.
Hold on, what was that again? I missed that. Did anybody else catch that one? I don't think you did. I have to go back. I'm sorry. I have to go back and listen to that. That was the longest, and I got to give her credit. She rattled through that without a hiccup, and I think that's probably the litmus test for Democrats. You have to get through the entire alphabet letter, DEI, LGBTQ, whatever. You have to get through all of it without stuttering in order for you to be classified as a member of their group of identified people of victimization, to be really cool, to be really special, to put that in your, the feather in your cap with how special you are, or representing and talking about this organization. You have to be able to rattle it off. Now, I'm a fast talker. I think I can get through some words pretty quickly on this program because there's a lot to cover in a short amount of time to do it. So we try to cram a lot in this show. I got to give her credit. That was pretty impressive.
To deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2S LGBTQIA+.
What? I wrote it down. And please, for the love of God, send me a message on social media at Hooser Reason. Email me on our website, HooserReason.com. I want to know what these mean because I don't. Maybe we need to do a live video or a live search right here on the air. MMIWG2, because now we're doing numbers with letters, to S LGBTQIA+. So the plus at the end shows that there's even more outside of all of these, the rapid response.
To deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2S LGBTQIA+.
I don't know what that means. Hold on. Oh, wait, I have to. I'm sorry. This is this is going to take way more time than I anticipated. But I have to ask, what does the letters for, what is it, MMIWG? Yeah, we're doing this live on the air right now because I have to know now. 2S LGBTQIA+ mean. All right, here we go. There it is. Google search. Often in the context of the, can we say it really fast? MMIWG2SLGBTQ. They have two Qs. Why didn't she say two Qs? She's a failure and did not represent the community properly. Sorry. It stands for Two-Spirit. All right, so that's the number 2S. Two-Spirit. Really? That's a Native American thing. I mean, I guess you can kind of sort of believe that, but that's a culture. Are they cultural appropriating? Because that's a Native American idea where two spirits come into the same body, which is why a dog has two different colored eyes. Sometimes people believe, or very few people have different colored eyes or their eyes change color. They believe that it's a cultural thing. They're culturally appropriating too. Can these people not get their political identity straight here? Come on. Anyways. Stands for Two-Spirit, Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, Questioning, which is why there's two Qs, Intersex, Asexual, with a plus sign representing additional sexual and gender diverse identities. That didn't explain the two M's. What's the M's? Hold on here. There's a website. The MMIWG National Action Plan. All right, what is this? I'm sorry. We're going down this rabbit hole together, my friends, because I need to know what this all is. Oh, this is a PDF file, so this is going to bring up something. All right. The National Inquiry for the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, NMIWG. Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. All right, so there you have it. You have the entire laundry list of all the identities there. Missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, which is the whole first part of it. Then you have the 2SL, Two-Spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, and asexual, and then the plus sign for anything else that anybody might want to tag on there, because apparently that's not enough. All right, that was a long rabbit hole. I'm terribly sorry. My brain hurts after that one. But now we know. And I give her props for reading off the litmus test like that one, although she missed the double Q, so shame on her because she is missing out on the questioning people. So those that are questioning, you should be ashamed of this lawmaker that's not properly representing you in some fashion at all. This is where this is where we're at in society. It's no longer about the idea of Martin Luther King based someone just on their character, how they treat other human beings, how they act in society, how they act in public, what they do for humanity in general, helping out the less fortunate or giving back to the community or being a stand-up representation of the community. It's nothing about that now. It's all about all of this laundry list of identity politics in society, and she's livid. I'm assuming it's a female. She sounds like a female, looks like a female, acts like a female. I don't know. Apparently nowadays we can't judge anyone based on that, so who really knows? But she's livid that they're cutting $7 billion out of certain funds for DEI initiatives in Canada while giving zero money for the genocide. Do we even know what the term genocide actually means? The intentional wiping out of certain individuals, which could be wrong. Canada's a relatively progressive nation. I don't think that's happening there because the fact that they even have money for an LGBTQ. Sorry, I can't even say it, so props to her on that one. The fact they're giving money to it probably shows they're not doing a genocide there, but she's not very happy about that one. And I'm giving you some heads up if you would like a password for your computer because it wants all the letters and capitalized and different numbers and exclamations. That would be the one for it, right? That would be what you can use for your next computer password. All right, let's get into what's trending today, shall we?
What's trending today?
A beautiful transition on that one. First Lady Melania Trump making the news today, bringing an issue back on track that many have criticized the Trump administration for bombing big time. That's kind of been a dark cloud over the Trump administration over the past first year of the administration. And now Melania Trump coming out of the woodwork and saying, hey, we have to address a particular issue, one of them being on government transparency and holding accountable those involved in the Epstein files.
It is the time for Congress to act. Epstein was not alone. Several prominent male executives resigned from their powerful positions after this matter became widely politicized. Of course, this doesn't amount to guilt, but we still must work openly and transparently to uncover the truth. I call on Congress to provide the women who have been victimized by Epstein with a public hearing specifically centered around the survivors. Give these victims their opportunity to testify under oath in front of Congress with the power of sworn testimony. Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Then, and only then, we will have the truth. Thank you.
All right, so Melania Trump making that statement today. This is brilliant, in my opinion. This is the best way to handle this issue. This has been one of those lingering clouds over the Trump administration, and we've said it before, Donald Trump, most productive administration in modern American history, most transparent administration in modern American history. I know Democrats are going to lose their minds, get angry over that one. Even some conservatives, we don't have all the uncensored documents. I get it, but more has come out under Donald Trump than any other administration. So the fact that we even have anything is a win in a step in the right direction, right? I mean, before that, we didn't have anything, and tens of thousands of documents have been released. Some have been redacted. Very few have been redacted, but at least we have more information than what we did before. But still, even to those that have made this the number one issue for them, it's not enough. And with Pam Bondi gone, this is the perfect timing and the perfect individual to come out and actually address this issue. Because with Donald Trump's name that was in the Epstein files for so many times, thousands of times, redacted a couple times, who knows for whatever reason, although we could read the rest of the context, nowhere near him doing any criminal activity, but it just shows business dealings that he may or may not have been doing with Jeffrey Epstein throughout the past, that the person that's close to Trump, his wife, Melania Trump, the first lady, to come out and say she didn't know Epstein, that Donald Trump did have some business dealings, but never did anything criminal, which he's been cleared by that multiple different times, and to say now is the time for us to release more information, to do more investigations, to have the testimony from these victims, and to get this info out. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Look, this is the perfect timing for it. We have midterm elections, so the optics look nice, right? That always goes through the filter for all of us, and it should for you as well. It's election season, so everything being done is for a political purpose, right? So the optics of it, very smart at this time, because let's get this information out. Let's get people excited about it again. And with the transition of a new Department of Justice and a new Attorney General that hopefully can kind of have a fresh face to this issue, release more information in a better manner, organize investigations, pursue potential people that may have been breaking the law, this is the time to do it. And for someone like Melania, who focused her entire tenure so far as First Lady to focus on children, to try and work with Russia to get children who have been displaced because of the conflict and the war over there, and the foster children, and working on kids here in the United States, and for her to say, we're going to protect women and children in this nation and around the world, this is the perfect time to do it. So well done. The optics look great. It's a fresh start. It's a fresh mind with Pam Bondi gone and the new leadership taking over in the Department of Justice. Well done on this Trump administration, and I really want to see some action move forward with this.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON. As you know, I'm always looking for a good snack, but it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives. But now that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. I promise you'll be addicted. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever. Every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, welcome back into the program. Great to have you here for a pre-Friday celebration. Greatest day of the entire week. I'm still trying to wrap my head around some of the identities that are going on. Makes my brain hurt even trying to break some of this down. And again, we just don't care. I mean, don't promote it and try and force it onto us and be like, I'm a whatever. I just don't care, bro, or gal, or other. I just, we don't care. That's the way we roll here on this program. I want to tell you about my friends over at Americans for Prosperity. We are going through the affordability campaign right now. The affordability agenda, as Congress gets back into Washington on Monday next week, they have a lot to address. They have a lot to do. We still, by the way, have a partial government shutdown with Department of Homeland Security. Not sure if you're aware of that. We're still trying to figure out how to pay everybody. Trump has been able to get paychecks out to TSA workers, but FEMA is still vastly underfunded. We're going into storm season across the country. If a tornado hits Kansas, where I'm at, that could wipe out FEMA with the funds that they have in their emergency coffers right now. We also need to work on affordability. That's the housing market, getting that back under control. That is taxes, which we're getting better at that. We're seeing a lot of tax returns and a lot of rebates that are really, really good this year. So that's exciting. We also have to do permitting reform for energy, deregulation, so many things that we can do. And Americans for Prosperity has been on the home front with that. They've been doing their massive campaign nationwide, letting you know what we can do and what to put pressure on with our elected officials. I want you to go to a website. It's a long website. Get ready. AmericansForProsperity.org/affordability. You can sign up. It's completely free. You can get the information and get the talking points that you need for your friends, your family, your neighbors, your kids, your grandkids, and to put pressure on your elected official to do what's right. Go to AmericansForProsperity.org/affordability. Sign up, and when Congress heads back to D.C., or if they're going and doing a tour in your district today, ask them about it. Talk to them about it. Let's make sure that affordability is priority number one for Congress when they get back up there. All right, I'm really enjoying, and usually we don't hear much about Melania Trump. She usually works behind the scenes. She's not one to be be in front of the camera. She likes to kind of do her own thing, focus on the children, and that's about it. She's been writing letters back and forth to Vladimir Putin, trying to, not love letters like sliding into his DMs, but writing him letters, trying to win over and say, hey, let us help get kids that are displaced because of the war with Ukraine, that have lost their parents. Let me try and help, because actually that's right now the number one place where kids are going missing. We just don't know where they're at. And you can think about the underground trade, all the slave that's going on, which is really unfortunate, Epstein-style issues that are still happening today. We're focused on the Epstein case from, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and right now it's still happening under our eyes. We're just not paying attention to it because all eyes are on the Epstein case and Epstein files. We want to make sure this doesn't happen again, and we want the repercussions and the justice for those that did commit crimes back in the day, whoever that may be, on the right or the left side of the aisle, and we want to try and stop this from happening moving forward. And right now, there is a major underground childhood ring with children that are just going missing in Ukraine and Russia. Melania Trump has been focused so much on that. You're going to tell me, and this is just the kind of commonsensical questions we have to ponder when we hear the other side. It's like, Donald Trump's a pedophile, because that's what I see on social media all the time. When I make posts, that's what Democrats say. I can't believe you're defending a pedo. That's what we hear, and it's so stupid. It makes them look really, really silly, because we know that's not the case whatsoever. And you're going to sit there and tell me that someone like Melania Trump is the first lady of the United States, who's been married to Donald Trump for a long time, probably knowing his history, where he hasn't been the squeakiest clean of guys in the past. He's been a multimillionaire, people throwing themselves at him day in and day out. He was associated with the Playboy Mansion a lot. He knew these women. I mean, he was around it. What do you do? It's a business guy where women throw themselves at really rich and powerful guys. She knows his history. She has a history herself as a model and doing things. So what? You're going to sit there and tell me that she's going to be married to a guy that committed atrocious childhood molesting crimes like that, when that's her focus as someone who wants to help children, who wants to help women, who's calling for testimony for these victims and these women to come out and speak. You're going to tell me that she's okay with that? Come on, man. Common sense sometimes just doesn't prevail in society, and it's kind of sad.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
truth, reason, and common sense. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
When we need them to allow us to use their military bases, their answer is no. Then why are we in NATO? You have to ask that question. Why do we have billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, over the years, trillions of dollars, and all of these American forces stationed in the region? If we can only use, in our time of need, we're not going to be allowed to use those bases. So I think there's no doubt, unfortunately, after this conflict is concluded, we are going to have to re-examine that relationship. We're going to have to re-examine the value of NATO and that alliance for our country. Ultimately, that's a decision for the president to make, and he'll have to make it.
Yeah, so those conversations happening this week, apparently, with President Trump, Marco Rubio, Vice President J.D. Vance, and the heads of NATO. We're threatening to pull out all our money, pull out our troops, and NATO's like, whoa, hold on here. Let's have a conversation. But he's got a great point. Look, if we're going to be part of it and we're funding the majority of it, then what's the point of being part of it if it's not going to help us out when we actually need the help, just because we got rid of a terrorist cell that has been the stem of terrorism for a long time? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but, whatever. All right, let's shift gears a little bit here, shall we?
What's trending today?
I want to go to for a moment, and this will lead into our next guest here on the program, which I'm really excited to chat with. There was I don't know where this was, I don't know what event this was. Al Sharpton was talking about the upcoming 250th birthday of the United States and says that right now for the minority communities in the nation that they should not be celebrating the 250.
One of the things that occurs to me, and your colleague Congressman Green preceded you, and I mentioned the word to Governor Shapiro, is that the history that our people, I'm talking about African Americans now, have had should not be distorted, and it, in many ways, in my opinion, should give us a charge of responsibility. They're going to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the country July 4th, but that's not our celebration. We were slaves then, and they celebrate signing the Declaration of Independence 1776. We were not even emancipated until 1863. So I don't know what everybody getting ready for a celebration.
All right. So look, that's Al Sharpton. He can say what he wants to. That's the freedom of speech, which is what we're going to get into here. But golly, man,
Compensate your bike fluid and get your brake working so you can stop something.
I'm curious on what he would say on the reason that we were capable of emancipating and freeing the slaves was because of the document that was signed by the founding fathers for the Declaration of Independence, with the idea saying that everybody, men, were created equal under God. But they don't like to go down that road because that's just too complicated to talk about. But that leads us to
What's Trending Today.
Our next guest on the program, as we talk about freedom of speech, especially more information that's coming out regarding government colluding with social media and the censorship, the shadow banning, the control that we have on free speech and content online, where that type of rhetoric is allowed to go through, but anybody else challenging it, not usually allowed, or at least as much on the algorithms. But
let's go to the Hooser Media Hotline.
That's right. Really happy to have on the program. He's a senior litigation counsel for the NCLA, which is the New Civil Liberties Alliance. Really happy to have on here Mr. John Vecchione. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on the show. Really looking forward to our conversation here. I am baffled when we saw Elon Musk purchase Twitter, the releasing of those documents where we saw literal emails and conversations back and forth between government officials and the heads of social media and Twitter at that time on how influential government has been to dictate the algorithms and who's allowed to have a freedom of speech or not on social media. More of this seems like it's coming out, isn't it?
Yes, you're mentioning the Twitter files, but it all came around with this case that we filed, Missouri v. Biden, and that was filed by the Attorney Generals of Louisiana and Missouri, but they asked us to join because we had private parties who had been censored, so it wasn't just the state and their Twitter and Facebook and everything, but they wanted individuals. So New Civil Liberties had represented three other people in the same kind of case, and a fellow named John Sauer, who your audience may have heard of. He's now the Solicitor General of the United States. Gave us a call and said, do you have any private parties? And we said, we sure do. And one of them was Jay Bhattacharya, who your audience may also know, who's now over at HHS and CDC, and Martin Kulldorff, who's also now gone into the government to try and make sure these ideas aren't censored. Yeah. And then we had Jill Hines from Louisiana and Aaron Kheriaty, who was a professor, all censored, all for legal free speech online. That was direct result of the government telling the social media they didn't want any of those messages.
Yeah. What a wild time. When did this really become prevalent? Has it always been there since? I mean, obviously, you had Mark Zuckerberg, you had Jack Dorsey with Twitter and Facebook, really kind of the first big social media platforms to take off on this fashion. As they were growing and evolving and becoming as big as they were at their hiatus, was the government always involved in this from what you guys have seen in the investigations, or did it really become more prevalent towards, let's say, like the COVID pandemic when things really kind of took another turn?
The second one, if you're old enough, you remember when everybody's mantra for the internet and these new ways of speaking to each other was information wants to be free. I don't know if you remember that, but that's what people used to say about it. And, once it got too free, the government wasn't too thrilled with that. And so when COVID struck, our complaint basically says that under the first Trump administration, when COVID struck, the CDC and various other agencies, they started pressuring the social media companies not to have anything in there about the shutdowns. If you were against shutdowns, you were shut down. If there was any, Wuhan, oh, gee, where did this virus come from? You can't say it was made in a lab. Yep. You're not allowed to do that. And now, and then also, how do you prevent the spread and how do you address the respiratory virus? Jay Bhattacharya and Martin Kulldorff were two of the greatest experts in the world on that, and they were shut down.
Yeah.
So, yes, it started there, but then when Biden got elected in 2020, it ramped up and became a whole-of-government effort.
Yeah.
And they said it from the White House. Jen Psaki said from the White House, we're going to hold these social media people accountable for these views, right?
That's right. In fact, the Biden administration even created their accountability task force, which that was the sole purpose. Get rid of this content that was talking about, like you said, China and the Wuhan virus. I mean, we were just allowed as of like 6 months ago to actually go live on YouTube again with our account for this radio program because we mentioned the word hydroxychloroquine and people lost their minds. And we got flagged multiple times for quote unquote medical misinformation because of these types of censorships.
And it was so bad. I'm going to tell you a story. When we John Sauer and I we did all the depositions in this case, and we with Missouri Louisiana did most of the discovery. So we wanted to have a little symposium here at New Civil Liberties Alliance and put it on YouTube. And so he comes in. We discuss the case. We discuss what the allegations, what the judge had ruled, because the judge had put an injunction, and we explained what the messages were that the government didn't want and what they had done to prevent it. And do you know we got flagged by YouTube and they took it down? That got taken down by YouTube when we were talking about the censorship. It was unbelievable. Now, our people went back to them and it got put back on about 3 days later, but it tells you what the algorithms were doing at the behest of the government.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate. And it really led to what we're seeing now, right? A complete revolt from that. People realized what was happening. It was very blatant. It was very obvious. And now we have almost an entirely different mindset. The FCC is getting rid of a lot of those regulations. The health department's completely different with RFK Jr. People saw what happened, and they weren't very happy. That wasn't something that was generally accepted, was it?
That's correct. And also, it helped that a lot of these things turned out to be true. Yeah. Some of them are arguable, but another plaintiff in this case, Jim Hoft, who runs Gateway Pundit, and Louisiana and Missouri, they were all concerned about the election of 2020 and the Hunter Biden laptop. And whatever you said about that, if it wasn't in the mainstream, you were out. And I have a shock for your audience. The Hunter Biden laptop was not Russian misinformation. I hate to break it to you, but it wasn't.
Yeah, wait a second. You just broke the hearts of a lot of people here, John. Come on. You just... they are shocked and appalled that wasn't misinformation from Russia. Come on, man.
So that was like the FBI was involved in that one, and they said, "Oh, it's misinformation." Then they didn't go back and correct it, and of course all the social media people took it down. But I do want to say one thing, that we were shocked by two things, all the lawyers who filed this case. And these two things was, first, the extent of the social media, the pressure they put on social media from the White House. At one point, Biden's, I think it was a Twitter, his tweet on something about the vaccines was downgraded as misinformation, and they took it down. They knocked out the presidential Twitter on this. So the White House calls up and said, we didn't want you censoring us.
Yeah.
And this is that, and they're using profanity and everything else on earth, but they wanted other people's message censored, but not theirs. But they got caught up in their own trap.
What a wild time. We're talking with John Vecchione. He's the Senior Litigation Counsel for the New Civil Liberties Alliance. You can see all their information. And this, by the way, these stories coming out on Real Clear Politics. You can find some of these articles on Fox News as well about these settlements and these cases that are going on. John, hang on the line. Can you stick over another segment with us?
No problem.
Awesome. I love it. I want to continue this, and I want to talk about, I know a lot of people right now with the Epstein files, with transparency, with this type of litigation that's happening right now. Are we starting to finally see some justice be done with the violations, blatant violations on freedom of speech and censorship and everything that was going on, and the communication between government officials like the White House and private companies like social media to tell us what we can and cannot do on these social media sites? So are we starting to see some justice be done here, and what can we do to prevent this from happening again? We'll cover all that when we come back around the corner with John Vecchione. Great conversation as we start learning more. Shocker that the government was trying to suppress information. I didn't realize maybe Anthony Fauci wasn't science like he said he was. My mind is blown. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy the Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, welcome back into the program. Great to have you here. We got a few minutes left as we wrap things up for a pre-Friday celebration. During the break, I was just reading a very long Truth Social post from President Trump. He went on a tirade against Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens. Like, he just railed on all of them. I think he needed to get it off his chest. I mean, here, President Trump, you're more than welcome to come on the program and do that. I mean, we are your political therapist here on this program. That's not just for him, for everybody. The political therapist on the radio right here on the Voice of Reason, and HooserReason.com. But yeah, it sounds like he had to get something off his chest. He did it, and now it sounds like he's doing much better now. Thank you very much. All right, we're talking with John Vecchione. He's a senior litigation counsel for the New Civil Liberties Alliance as we talk free speech and the collusion between government and social media, what we are seeing especially during COVID and where we're at now. So, John, here's the question. You guys have obviously been working on litigation here, working on trying to bring this to justice. Are we starting to see justice? Because I can hear from a lot of callers all the time that one of the biggest complaints they have is we have this committee hearing, we have this investigation going, we have the Epstein file release, we have all this information that we're getting. When are we going to see the justice? So, John, are we starting to see that?
I think we are, and I don't think there was. What happened is we filed this case. Then Elon bought Twitter, and he let journalists in, like Matt Taibbi, to go look at what was in there, and the Twitter files came out. And then Congress actually took one of our lawyers, Janine Eunice, to help them investigate all this stuff. And a lot came out, and the magnitude of it was so great that, in fact, the district court judge in this case, when he issued an injunction against this, later overturned by the Supreme Court, but he said this is probably the largest scale violation of free speech rights in the history of the country. And even though the Supreme Court did find we had standing, meaning we hadn't shown the government did it to us personally, the fact is not one judge who looked at this and reached the merits disagreed with them. They all said this was a violation of the First Amendment. And since we have this consent decree, what happened was when Trump got elected on day one, he said, we're not doing this anymore, and he released an EO saying no more censorship of the internet by any of these organizations.
Yeah.
And so then we got into negotiations because we were going to get more discovery and the case was going to go forward because the government did move to dismiss our case. when it came back from the Supreme Court on a preliminary injunction. But we beat that. The court said, no, you have standing to keep the complaint going. You probably need more information. And so then they came out with this consent decree, which we can enforce. Not everyone can, but we who sued can enforce it, saying, look, the CDC and the Surgeon General and CISA cannot go around doing this. And so I think this, and NCLA also has represented the Daily Wire and the Federalist, and they also got a settlement agreement against the State Department not to do any of this stuff.
Wow.
So it is getting better. I think these things will be a marker no matter what, because the other thing that we found that I think will surprise your audience, because it certainly surprised me, the social media companies resisted. There was a British politician at Facebook. He had come out of like Tony Blair's administration. He wasn't even American. And when they're asking him to do this, he says, "Isn't this a First Amendment problem? Aren't they supposed to be able to say what they want?"
Yeah.
He was like fighting back. We thought that it would just be, the government, the Biden administration wanted to do this, so they'd all go do it. That's not what happened. They put more and more pressure on him, threatened him more and more, had more and more avenues to get to the social media companies by saying, "Oh, do this, do that, do the other." They actually had portals, electronic portals into the social media companies so they could tell them what messages they didn't want.
Wow.
So since there was resistance by the social media companies, now they can waive these, they can't enforce these settlement agreements. They can say, look what you agreed to. What's changed? And I do think your audience should hear the main parts of this. First, in paragraph 19, they agree, the government agrees, which you'd think they'd agree earlier, but the First Amendment to the United States Constitution prohibits the government from abridging the freedom of speech or press. Then the parties also agree in the next paragraph, modern technology does not alter the government's obligation to abide by the strictures of the First Amendment. You heard all this stuff, the internet was different. Well, it's not different.
Right.
And then finally, the parties also agree that government, politicians, media, academics, or anyone else applying labels such as misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation to speech does not render it constitutionally unprotected.
Wow.
And then they promise not to take this stuff down or threaten social media for not taking it down.
Well,
so I think that's a home run.
That is a home run, and God bless you guys for doing this, because this is one of the biggest rights that we have in this nation compared to many other nations. When we see right now thousands of people in the UK getting arrested for social media posts and freedom of speech right now, so you guys are doing God's work on that. John, thank you so much for coming on the show and explaining that. We're out of time. We got to get you back on and do it again soon, my friend.
All right, thanks.
Hey, appreciate it very much, John. Great stuff. We'll get him back on and do it again soon. Until then, back at it again tomorrow for a Friday. We'll see you on the radio soon. Bye.
For too long, Washington has said no to builders, workers, and American families, and yes to bureaucracy, delay, and special interests. Let's flip that. Say yes to building more housing, and no to government mandates that block it. Yes to permitting American energy, and no to endless red tape. Yes to putting patients in charge of healthcare, and no to letting insurance companies call the shots. Higher costs? No. An affordable America? Yes.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com.